So as we jump into Clinician Nexus, again, I'm in a demo environment, so all of this information is fake data for us to play around with as we go through training. I am filtered down to one specific program. Again, I know this might not be your specific type of student, but the process flow for Clinician Nexus will be very similar. So just keep that in mind. When you log in, you'll be landed on this page here, which is our rotation list page. We're going to come back to this. This will be the most important section for you kind of as you're managing rotations and things like that. But I'm going to show a couple of background items first as we get into how do we end up with this nice dashboard of rotations that are coming up. So one thing to note with Clinician Nexus, like I said, I'm logged in as a school coordinator. Each organization in Clinician Nexus has its own profile and account. So Hartford Healthcare has an account. In this case, my sample university has an account, and I'm specifically looking at one particular program. So each of you will have login information. As you can see here with my sample university, there may be a number of programs within the university that are utilizing Clinician Nexus. I would likely be assigned to just the one or maybe a couple of programs that I'm managing. But we do have this structure set up so that everybody can see kind of this silo of data that's relevant to them. So that's what you all have been added to or will be added to. So that's just a kind of, again, background information to know. One kind of housekeeping piece in Clinician Nexus is the staff section. So right now, again, I'm in the bottom section on my far kind of left side menu of settings. So this is the background information for my university. You all will be added as staff if you haven't been already. But if you do have someone in maybe a backup role or someone who supports you in the work that you're doing, you do have the ability to manage staff within your program directly. So if I need to take Brian out because he's moved on and transitioned into a different role and he's listed here as staff, I can click on his account and go ahead and remove him from staff if I need to take somebody out. I can also add somebody new, so I can add a staff member individually here. When I pop this open, it's just going to ask for the name of that individual and their email address. And then once I create those couple of fields, it's going to ask me at the bottom what role I want to assign that individual to. Now, there's two primary roles we'll focus on here. One would be a coordinator role. So that's an individual that you want to have the same kind of access that you do to be able to manage student experiences that would be coming through Clinician Nexus. The other would be a faculty role. So that would be an individual who's an instructor and maybe participating on a rotation with a student. So if you do have, again, individuals that are employed by your school that are accompanying students on rotations as an instructor or faculty member, you'd be able to add them as well. We also have a bulk import option if you have quite a few faculty members or coordinators to add. And that is at the top of this section. Again, if I just add staff, it'll have me add them one by one. Or if I click import, I can grab a spreadsheet that I can fill in and then bulk upload those individuals. Again, I know that's not relevant to all discipline types as far as the faculty role, but just so you're aware in that staff management, that's how that works. Any questions on that? Okay, great. The next section, again, just for reference, is our agreement section. So as I mentioned before, Hope University, my sample school here, we have an account in Clinician Nexus. In your case, Hartford Healthcare as an organization also has an account. And what really links those two parties together so that scheduling or requests for rotations can happen is this agreements function. So this is representative of what relationships do we have with other organizations in Clinician Nexus. So as we go live, you will see an active agreement with Hartford Healthcare. Again, no action needed here immediately. If we're tracking expiration dates of those agreements in Clinician Nexus, which is an optional function, you may see an agreement come in as pending. Again, in a future state, all of these will be active to start with. But 3 years down the road, when that agreement renews, you might see it come into a pending status. And if you have ability to take action on that, you can click in and just confirm that. But again, no immediate action needed on that, but just want to kind of show that this is the connection point that will allow your two organizations to kind of communicate with one another for student information. Any questions on this? All right, great. Again, those are kind of background tasks that I just want to make sure that you guys are aware you have access to in Clinician Nexus. I'll move next into kind of what are action items for being able to get students added into Clinician Nexus and request or schedule rotations that you have coming up at Hartford Healthcare. So we're going to move out of our settings section and we're going to move and click over to our students tab. And in the students tab, any existing students that you have, which right now might be none, will automatically be listed in this students section. So as soon as I click over here, I'm going to see all of my active RT students. If I need to add students to Clinician Nexus, this is the first piece, is creating a profile for those students so we can assign them to specific rotations. If I need to add those students, I can do that one of two ways. So in this kind of submenu here, I'll either add them individually, which will ask me for their legal first and last name, email address, discipline, year of study, and grad date. So they can be added one by one. If you have 5 or fewer students that you know will need to be added in here, feel free to use that method. Otherwise, more commonly, we would have you bulk update a spreadsheet. So the template is right here to download, and I'm going to pull up that spreadsheet. It's asking for those same pieces of information that you would add individually. So in the spreadsheet, there's just going to be columns for each of those required fields. Your discipline field is a drop-down select, so you'll be able to specify the discipline type of the student. The student year is also a drop-down, and then grad date, you can fill in the date that they are expected to graduate. You'll also see the tags field here. This is an optional field. You don't need to fill it in. If it's helpful for you to classify your students as, this is my class of 2026 or 2027 or on from there, you can add an optional tag that'll just help you in sorting and filtering by those different things. These are free text, so feel free to add them if it's useful, but totally optional to have that in the spreadsheet. So once I complete that spreadsheet, I will go back into Clinician Nexus and upload that file. So there's an upload button here, and then we will upload and import those students. Now, if a student already has an account, it will bypass that student automatically. Our unique identifier is their email address. So if they already have an account in Clinician Nexus, let's say they were here last semester and we're uploading a new list, we don't want to sort through and see who's already in that I might not need to add. You're welcome to just upload that full sheet and it'll bypass anybody who has already been added. So once we have our students uploaded, you will see the list of students here in your active students list. One thing that's important to note, and I know this comes up from time to time depending on the university, but if I'm adding a student, I know some schools will have multiple email addresses or maybe an alias for the same email address that goes to the same inbox. So as an example, my name is Marie Strami, and I might have an email address that's mariestrami@school.com. If I also have an email, and you guys will know if this is relevant or not, but if I also have an email, it may be an acronym of my initials and a series of letters and numbers that is actually goes to the same inbox. Or if you have a school that has multiple domains, please keep in mind that the email address is the unique identifier. So if we want students to use their letters of series and numbers email when they log in, make sure to communicate to the students what email address you've added them under, especially in cases when they go to the same inbox. Because if they sign up with one and you've added them with another, that generates a duplicate account. We can merge those in about 30 seconds, so it's not a big deal, but we don't want the students to be confused as they're getting started if they end up signing up with a separate email. So just keep that in mind. The email address you add them with is what they should use to log in. So that really is only relevant if they route to the same inbox and the student doesn't know, but keep that in mind. Again, I'll talk about support and resources. We can merge those accounts. We just need to know what those two emails or domains are that the student is listed under, but just something to keep in mind as you're adding students, communicating to them about Clinician Nexus. Once we have our students, if for some reason they don't receive their invite to join and you sent it because they're in this list, you can resend the invitation to the students. So if they're been placed on a rotation and they're not seeing information about that, go ahead and click that resend invite button. That'll send a new invite to them automatically to claim that account. You can also monitor and update information. If I need to update Allison's grad date, maybe she took a semester off, so I need to kind of push that forward. You can edit one student individually or a group of students if you need to update multiple to update their grad date or discipline or whatever is needed there. Again, we have documentation to help kind of support in how to do that, or a support team is available to help answer some of those questions too. But just some of the common things you might need to update with your students. All right. Any other questions on adding students' accounts in Clinician Nexus? Okay. The next piece, once we have student accounts created, we can go ahead and schedule or request rotations. Again, moving up from our list here, we started in settings for some of that background info, then moved to students to generate those student accounts. And now we're going to click on schedule students. And what I can do here is this is going to be a list of who do I work with in Clinician Nexus already. So you'll be able to select your health system that you're working with. In this case, Hartford Healthcare. In my case, Northeast Health is my sample. You'll be able to select the organization that you're working with, and then indicate what opportunity you want to be able to schedule students on. So these opportunities are openings for requests or for placements of students. One thing to note is we do have filtering available here. You can keyword search if there's something specific you're looking for, or you can add a filter to kind of narrow down by department area, specific location, disciplines accepted, to narrow down that list. But once we find, I'm just going to go ahead with an RT experience. Once we find the rotation that we want to schedule the students into, we'll go ahead and select it. And then you'll be able to select from that student list that you uploaded, which student do I want to request onto this rotation. So in this case, I want to put Allison here. And I'm going to indicate the start and end dates that I am looking for Allison to be on site. So again, this might vary by program or discipline type. Your coordinators will have specifics on that. So I may be placing Allison directly for a rotation January 5th to 30th, or I may be saying this goes through the end of the semester or is a year long. Again, you'll be able to select the start and end dates according to kind of how your coordinators would expect to see those. So I'll put in start and end dates. Optionally, kind of detailed calendar is available. Probably not going to be widely used at this point. But if it's known and you want to fill in the student is here Monday, Wednesday, you can go ahead and do that. Again, not a kind of first round use. At this point is primarily getting in the start and end dates of that actual experience. So optional on kind of detailed schedule. And then you can go ahead and create that rotation. Once that rotation is created, it will land on our dashboard here, and I'll go into more details here. So jumping from, okay, there's a pending request in here. Again, in some cases that might be that your coordinators are building out what has already been approved through other processes. So acknowledge that. In some cases, you might be using Clinician Nexus just for requests if you don't have a current system or way that that's being done presently. but rotations will first land in this pending clinical site status. So I added a request for Allison to rotate 1-5 to 123. Again, there's a little bit of detail on kind of where this is happening, when it's happening, right in this card. Each of these cards is representative of an individual student rotation. In some cases, if students are rotating in a group, there would be multiple students listed as participating on a rotation together as a group, if that's relevant to your discipline types. But this is for Hartford Healthcare to go ahead and come in and finalize or approve as needed. So it just lands here so that they can review that before the student would then move into the onboarding status. So there's nothing you need to do with this status. Just know that, yep, I submitted this request. It's being reviewed. And then once it's approved, it will automatically move into an onboarding status. So when it moves to onboarding, I will be notified as the school coordinator. So will the student that this has been approved and the student can start onboarding. When I click into this rotation, this is where all of those kind of compliance and onboarding related pieces of information live for the student. So I can see an overview of the rotation, who's involved in that. It'll show kind of the staff that are associated. The schedule, again, even if it's just start and end date, or if there are specific kind of detailed schedule in there, I'll be able to see that from here. And then I will see the onboarding requirements that are required for this rotation. So on the left side, we'll see what is being asked for and who's responsible. So is the student responsible for completing this, or a coordinator can do it on their behalf? Any instructions or additional kind of attachments or links or things like that that would help the student in completing that would be listed here. And then I can see the completion status of the step. So if it's something I can complete, I'll be able to do that. So there's 3 different ways that generally student information is provided. One would be a checkbox. So if somebody just needs to attest to policies, that box can be checked. And this step will automatically go to completed. The other would be a file upload. So if there's certain actual documents that need to be provided, they can be uploaded here. And then the third would be a form style of a step. And I'll jump into this one. Again, this is just an example. These aren't the requirements exactly that Hartford is looking for, has historically asked for, but just some samples to kind of see these different options. But maybe I'm looking for a bit more demographic information, so the student will be able to directly fill this in a form. So those are the 3 ways that information gets completed in Clinician Nexus. As those steps are completed, as I did with this one, it will live update to show this is done, and then I can just see that these 3 are kind of outstanding and awaiting completion. So you'll have live visibility of kind of what's done, what's not done. Is there anything I can assist the student with, or anything that I need to complete, kind of all visible here. From there, once we've completed all the onboarding requirements, the student will move to a ready status. Again, notifications get triggered at each of these points to all parties, so that once a student is done onboarding, all parties will receive a notification. Onboarding is complete. In this case, Chloe is ready for her rotation starting 1-5, just hasn't started yet, so it's sitting in this ready category. And then the next status would be an active status. So Eric is on rotation, started a couple of days ago and goes through 12-12. So this can serve as, when needed, kind of a live student census of knowing when the student is on site with Hartford Healthcare. So those are the common statuses that you'll see. There's also an archive section. This will house any completed or closed rotations. We filter them off your dashboard because they're likely not things you need to be looking at regularly. But if you do need to take a look at any historic rotations, they'd be listed in an archive section. So we're just kind of by default in this active section where we can see the pending, onboarding, and ready and active rotations. Last piece that I'll touch on before we jump into kind of support and resources and any other questions is in your profile. So one question was already mentioned about kind of profile settings. If you click your account, right now mine has a little profile icon, but yours will be your initials until you upload a photo. This is where your personal information lives. So there's two pieces I'm going to kind of touch on here. Under account settings, that's where if you have an additional email address or you want to switch out what email address is in here, you can go ahead and update your email address or add one. And once you have more than one, you can indicate which one's the primary, which one's the secondary if you need to do that. So feel free, again, to take a look at your kind of account settings here. Again, you're getting to that from this top left icon that will show your initials or your profile picture if you've uploaded one. The next would be notification settings. So like I mentioned, there's a lot of notifications that come through Clinician Nexus. So each stage of that process that we walked through will trigger a notification. There's also notifications that you can be notified each time a student completes a step individually or each time a step is incomplete. I would recommend taking a look at your notification settings. The first email that you'll get with a notification will have a link at the bottom of that email to this page as well. So you don't need to necessarily keep track of where I am here, but just know in that email there's a link back to this page. And go ahead and scroll through and identify what notifications do I really want to receive by email. Or what notifications do I want to get an alert when I'm logged in? So those alerts live right up here. So you're not getting extra emails. It's just when you log in, you'll be able to kind of look at what's happened since you last logged in. So feel free to customize those based on kind of what your needs are. In the beginning, nice to keep more of them on so you're notified of things as they come through. And then later on, as you get more comfortable or you're logging into the system regularly, you may opt to turn those off. You can also specify how often you want to receive notifications. So right now, I want to receive one email with everything that's happened once a day. But I could do that once a week, whatever, again, kind of cadence for getting that reminder is preferred. So those two sections in your personal account settings are going to be good to look at just for reference if you want to make any adjustments to those. The last thing that I'll speak to is support and resources. Again, we have a training deck as well as we will have a recording at the conclusion of this call for reference for you all. A couple other things to keep note of. In our support section here, this is something that's available specifically to school coordinators. We do have a Getting Started webinar that we host. We will host multiple times per week. It's not specific to Hartford Healthcare, but it does kind of walk through the items that I've chatted through today. So your settings with adding staff, how to add students, how to schedule, and how to monitor onboarding progress and complete those requirements that might be necessary. You can get to that at any time. Sign up for a time that works for you to go through live with one of our support representatives, kind of those process steps. So if you need a refresh or you have somebody new joining, you can get right to that from here. And then for everyone, we do have chat support and help documentation available. So you can send us a message. Students can send us a message if they have questions about what they're looking at in Clinician Nexus. Feel free to reach out by chat if you run into anything as you go through. And we also have a number of help documents, how-to guides. You can either search by keyword for specific content areas, or this is one I like to point out, adding students and scheduling rotations, which is a lot of what we went over today. As you can see here, this kind of just goes step by step. Here's how to add a student individually with some screenshots to help guide you. So as I'm looking at this guide, I can kind of click through right while I'm in here and kind of understand where I need to go in order to complete that. So feel free to take advantage of those resources as well. One last thing from my end that I didn't mention, but is a good call out, kind of Aaron, based on your comments. If you are already using Clinician Nexus with another health system, your login information is the same. Your access is all the same. The only difference you'll see is that instead of one agreement with one affiliate partner, there will be now Hartford added to that. And when you go to schedule students, you'll select which health organization you want to schedule with. So no kind of action needed. If you've already logged in, already used this with another system, you'll just see a new agreement with Hartford pop in there. So you'll be able to start scheduling with that system as well. If your students are already in because they've rotated at other sites, they're automatically already in your student list. You just need to assign them to a Hartford rotation if they have one there. So yes, last note from me.